Hey there, it's Christine with Basics Marketing. We're going to be talking about planning. I did a post last week, a blog post last week, based on some wisdom that my father told me years ago that I never listened to. I mean, it was really like the eye roll when I was a kid. Right, Dad. Okay, Dad. And it wasn't until I got older and actually when I had my own business that I actually started listening to that bit of advice that he gave me, and it was all about planning. And my dad used to say, you've got to make your plan and you've got to work your plan, which is all well and good, and which is what we're going to be talking about today. It's all well and good to talk about make a plan and work your plan. The hardest thing about that advice from my dad was I had no idea what to plan. I was like, okay, great. How do I do that? What plan am I planning? What are we talking about? Sure, you can say, let me make a plan, but do you know what to plan? Do you know not only what to plan, but how to go about planning it that's going to be the right plan for you? Because there's tons of advice out there on the internet. You guys know this, you've seen it. There are gurus and planners and planning books. I mean, I can't tell you how many planners I have. Um, they all need to work together. So that's what I want to talk about today. I won't make it super long, but I do want to give you enough info to try to help stop you from feeling lost or stuck or where do I go from here. So planning. Yes, you have to make one and then you have to work it. What are those plans? Today we're going to talk quickly about all the plans that work together because really you're not going to just have one massive plan. I mean, you can, but it's always got to be broken down into those manageable pieces. What are the pieces and parts of that plan and how are you going to execute? So I want to go over briefly today, the kinds of plans. So you have your overall business plan with the goals of your business. And then you have the structural plans that I'm calling them, like your production plan, your sales plans, okay, which is going to be different than the marketing plan that you're going to have. What product offers are you going to have? Your content marketing, your email campaigns. Those are other plans that we need to talk about that all work together. So let's just start talking about the overall business plan. Why are you doing what you're doing? What do you create? Why are you creating it? Again, a lot of times as far as creative entrepreneurs go, we love to make something. So we've happened upon this product that we love to make and we make a ton of it and we want to get it out there and sell it. But why are we doing that? What's our backstory? What's our plan behind it? It's so easy to just love what you do and start creating a bunch of products and then kind of wing how you're going to sell them or who you're going to sell them to. Or you guys have all run into this. You're going to work your ass off 24/7 making product, trying to sell it, maybe selling some, not getting the results that you want, and then not living any kind of life because you're always in the production studio. So, having those overall business goals and lifestyle goals is super important. So around your overall business, you need those goals and how many and creating your plan around how many days a week do you want to work? How many hours per week do you want to work? How many weeks per year do you want to work? So these are all things that as you start thinking about this and really creating this plan, you really need to sit down and start defining it. And I know how much all us creatives love to work with numbers, but your plan is basically working around numbers and how you're going to achieve those goals. So I know it's not the funnest thing, but it has to be done. Whether you get out an Excel spreadsheet, a Google spreadsheet, however you do this, even if it's just starting to, even just a blank Google Doc and just start brainstorming what that looks like, it'll get you it'll get you started so where then you can start developing out that plan and what that looks like. So when you do take it to a spreadsheet and work it out over a year or over 2 years, you'll really know where those pieces and parts are going to start fitting in together. So let me talk about that a little bit more in the structural plans that I'm calling them. So, do you have a production plan? Do you have production goals? You probably do. Again, we have an inventory that we keep. What does your inventory look like? How much inventory are you keeping on hand? How much are you taking with you to sell, whether you go to fairs? How much are you selling online? These are some of those numbers and those goals that we really have to keep in mind, because those kinds of goals are going to be what helps drive our marketing goals. So how much are you planning on producing? How much are you planning on producing of X number of products? You may have a product that's a better seller than some. So what does that production schedule look like for you? Are you doing production on a weekly basis? Are you doing it on a monthly basis? Because again, winging those kinds of things doesn't work well when you start to scale, because you're going to have to look at what your standard operating procedures are and how you're going to be able to work all these plans, especially if you're still a solopreneur and you don't have an assistant, whether it's production, whether it's sales. You're going to have to be doing this all yourself for a little while, so you don't want to burn out. So what does that look like? So from your production goals, you'll know how much product you're going to produce. Now you need to create a sales plan. What does that look like? What are your sales goals? And I want you to break those down per year, per month, and per week. I found for me it was much easier to break down what I needed. Yes, I want those sales numbers and that revenue plan. But I'm not going to reach my revenue plan unless I have my sales plan put together. So how much can I sell per week? What does that look like for me? And where am I selling? Am I doing online sales? What does that plan look like? Am I doing farmers markets? Am I doing fairs? Am I doing other shows? What does that look like? What does your wholesale plan look like? Because that is going to help you determine, again, how, from your production, what those numbers are going to look like and how you can reach those goals. Okay. So put these all out on a spreadsheet. Once you have them out on the spreadsheet, then it becomes easier to visually see what you have and start lining things up. Next, I want to talk about, again, this is not, I can make this probably hours. I want to keep this condensed so you guys can get started on revising that plan that you have. Next, we want to talk about marketing. What does that look like? Again, everything ties together, because you need to know what product you're selling. How much production do you have? How much are you selling per? How quickly can you get things shipped out? Then, as far as what marketing looks like, what product offers are you putting together? I know you want to sell everything that you make. However, when you try to create a marketing plan to sell everything, just like creating copy, when when we talk about copy, when we talk about messaging, you're not selling to everybody in the world. You're selling to a niche or a specific type of person that wants your product. We're doing the same thing when it comes to marketing, and it becomes easier because you can get a lot more defined. You can get a lot more specific when it comes to your marketing plan as well. So I know you guys have heard this story before, but Oliva Mia Pelle was this body lotion that I created that was my biggest body lotion seller. I only produced it and sold it for September sales. It was a thing that I created on a trip to Italy because I found Sorrento lemons and loved the smell. And the reason I did that also is because of the essential oils I use. And again, these are some of those planning things that you guys need to think about as well. With the essential oils that I put into it, why I didn't make them a summer sale is because citrus essential oils are photosensitive, so phototoxic. So what I wanted to do is kind of wait until after summer, where people could still get that lemon fresh smell, kind of those ideas of summer. So then I had to create that plan to sell them. And honestly, I started doing pre-sales in March. So when it comes to looking at your product offers, look at the time frame the time that you want to sell it, and then the time frame leading back to that, and kind of step backwards and see how much time you have to start selling your product and start planning that. Do you have a week to sell it? Do you have months to plan for it? That way you can kind of help build up and not only build your plan, but build your audience up to it. Again, if you have specific product offers, you can start taking pre-sales. So this ties right into your production schedule. What does that look like? If you've got a bunch of pre-sales that you're opening up to people, you'll know exactly how much production to work into that production schedule. So look at what your product offers are. Again, you're going to have a whole other spreadsheet for your products and your product offerings. What month do you want to sell them? Are they, do you sell them all year long? Is there a specific time of year that sells better than others? So start looking at your numbers with that. From that, with your product offerings, then you can start creating that marketing plan around each product. I know you guys, this feels like a head blowing, messing with your brain. But these are the kinds of things you have to think about, especially if you want to scale, or if you're not hitting those sales numbers that you want and those revenue numbers that you want to hit, is because these are the kinds of things that all work together. So in your marketing plan, you're going to also have to start creating your content plan. So you have your product offers. You need to start planning that content. We all know that content marketing works. Content marketing is a long-term plan. It's not a sales or email plan that works, like if you're going to do a product launch or if you're going to do a quick sale or a BOGO or anything like that. So your content plan is those content pieces that you're going to put out, whether it's your blog posts, whether it's you're doing Facebook Lives, whether it's your social media posts, those all consist of content. Maybe you're doing YouTube, maybe you're doing a YouTube channel, whatever that looks like for you, that's another thing that you need to plan out your content over 6, 8, 12 months. Look at, I know this year is very different, and I'm going to talk about that in a minute as far as revising plans as well. But what does your timeline look like, and how do you want to start planning that out? Again, we're in July. For product makers, it's time to start planning for the holidays. So what does that content plan look like for you? Do you need to educate people on ingredients again or processes? Do you need to remind them that, the holiday sales are coming? What does that look like for you? And how do you want to start planning out your content to be able to get it out and push it out so people, you're top of mind when people land on social media? What does that look like? Next in your marketing plan are your email campaigns. So these are your weekly, your bi-monthly, or your monthly newsletter. What does that look like? How are you going to plan that out? Also, those email campaigns, when it comes to back up the planning ladder to product offers, it's time to start also planning those product offers, those email campaigns around those product offers. So, and again, that blends right into your social media as well. So what does that look like? When you start creating product offers, you're going to need some kind of a landing or product page that you're going to bring them to. Again, what do those pages look like? Once they land on that page, are they going right for the sale, or are they opting into something that you're going to use a 3, 4, 5 email sequence to bring them to the sale? So these are the kind of things I'm talking about as far as planning. One of the things I want to talk about too is because 2020 is a little bit different than most years, I want to talk about revising any plans that you have as well and making those plans relevant for now. So in Make Your Plan and Work Your Plan, let's talk about revising any plans that you have as well. So what you need to do in that respect is go back through and look at the plans that you have. Look at your revenue and sales goals. Look at your production schedules. Look at all those things that you have that work together, because this is kind of like your little ecosystem here of planning. What does that look like? How have things changed? How do you need to revise? Again, so go back, review your plan. Whatever those plans look like. So it could be, maybe you have a plan that's not quite written out yet. What does that look like? Maybe you've written them on napkins. If you've written them on napkins, write them on a piece of paper. Take all those, look at those plans, and be really objective when it comes to looking at that, and look at how can you either change those Or what are the details that you need to flesh out in order to make that plan work for you and all those plans work together in your ecosystem? And I know your brains are spinning right now. And this is what happens when we go through times of change, when I know a lot of you have really ramped up as far as production during the pandemic, because people are actually placing orders, wanting things shipped to their home instead of picking them up, hands-free, everything. So yes, I know your brains are spinning. And hopefully what this will do for you is really help you start the process of what your plans need to look like and how they need to change. What I want you to do now is, when you're looking at these plans, right? So I've given you a ton of information. When you're looking at these plans, you're revising what you have. You're looking at the top of those plans that I talked about earlier. You're also going to be changing anything that doesn't fit for the current situation, right? Again, so many things have changed. Don't be afraid to change those plans so they work. Again, this is you've got to be super objective when it comes to these plans, because again, you may have to cut things out. You may have to bring someone in to help you. If you found that you've really ramped up, how can you have somebody come in at least maybe once or twice a week to help you, whether it's in production, whether it's labeling? How can you do that safely? Because again, now you have a whole other plan, safety plans for health reasons, masks, gloves. What does that look like coming in? Again, with product manufacturers that are certainly FDA compliant, how are you going to change your standard operating procedures to add those in as well? And you guys, I know, again, these are tons of notes and tons of things that you have to think about in that already spinning brain of yours. But in order to scale, these are the things that you have to put together to grow that business of yours. If you're content where it is and everything looks good, awesome. You can still take a look at your plans and revise anything that maybe isn't working or that needs to change, but awesome on that. Again, plan your production according to the changes that you've made. Plan your sales and and I want to go back there for a second now that I said that. Your sales and your sales plans. Going back to again to those sales numbers, because you may not be selling at the same venues that you had been selling at in the past. You're maybe not going to live events. How is that changing your sales goals, your sales production goals, and your marketing goals? Your online marketing may be different. Or again, are you doing direct mail? Are you doing postcards? Are you doing catalogs? What does that look like? I know, again, it's a lot. I want you to keep this top of mind when you're doing your planning, because everything is going to be revised and changed.